Hello my friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be having a look at the 2023 Mazda CX-5 Signature. In Canada, all Mazdas, or is it North America wide now? I can't recall, but in Canada at least, all Mazda SUVs come with all-wheel drive, and the CX-5 of course is no different. The Signature trim is the top of the line. This particular design has been with us for quite some time. 2017 I believe was the first model year. I've got the engine running because it's cold today and I want to keep it nice and warm inside. It was also, the CX-5 was the first vehicle to have the Kodo design philosophy that Mazda has been using for quite some time, which basically I think is, if I'm not mistaken, is sort of the expression of this huge mouth that they're using, among other design elements, I'm sure. But even, I mean, we're 6-7 years into this design and it's still a handsome looking vehicle. I really like the CX-5. It has really nice lines. It's compact. It's just, there's nothing obnoxious about it. It's just a good looking, handsome vehicle. The thing I particularly like about this model, this trim, because the Signature trim is the top shelf trim, is that you get painted cladding here along the end, the sides, all around the vehicle. On every other model you get bare plastic, and there is too much bare plastic on cars these days, so it's very nice to see. I would buy, if I was going to buy a CX-5, I would buy this trim level just so I can have that. I know, I'm a nerd, but what can I tell you? Sometimes things matter. So there you go. That is the exterior view of the CX-5. Shall we, oh, you know what? Since we're in the back, let's check out the cargo area first, because then I can climb inside and I don't have to get out. Ignore the Amazon box. So this is the cargo area of the CX-5, perfectly serviceable, of a very decent size with a second row in place. They give you a nice, half-decent mat in the back as well, which is cool. You get, you can fold the seats down from the back here with these little levers, which is quaint compared to the power options you usually get in some cars, but they're actually quite usable. The only kicker is you have to watch those seats. So when you pull, see? So I am 5'8", just as an example, and when you fold the seats down from the back here, it catches on the seat. So you do, it's a little irritating. There's got to be a system in place that can work, because a taller person's going to have the seat even further back, and yeah, it's never going to fold down, which is a bit of a bummer. So I've put that seat in a similar position, and okay, well, obviously a little different, but it just misses it, which is what you want to happen every time you do it. But from my seating position, that seat will not fold down flat, which is a bit of a bummer. But you do get easy access, so that's nice. If you're in my wife's driving position, the seat will fold down flat every time. So then you get tons and tons of cargo space, and yeah, then you have to go and fold them all back in place. They're certainly not powered. But yeah, that's the cargo area in the back of the CX-5. All right, we are inside the 2023, pardon me, Mazda CX-5. Starting on the left, we've got our park distance control, camera control. You can lift it, open the tailgate from the front here, and we move into the Mazda dash. The dash cluster here is very straightforward, extremely conventional. You don't get to adjust much. You can hit the little button here and it sort of gives you trip odometers, compass information, a little bit of information related to the cruise control, but that's about it. There really isn't much to it. One thing you do get, which I found fascinating, is I almost missed it. I've been driving this thing for a day, and I almost missed it. There's a stick here. Can you guys see that? I'm not sure. That is mounted to the dash cluster, pops out through the plexiglass, and if you hit that button, or hit the stick, it switches between miles per hour and kph, which is really cool. Very useful. I live very close to the border, so we cross the border fairly regularly, and that's a nice option to have if you head down to the States. Put it on miles per hour. The fascinating part is this stick that they give you. This is like from a 97 Toyota Corolla. You don't see that very often anymore. I kind of like that. It's it may be a cost savings, but I like the fact that it's retro. That's cool. Otherwise, you get your tachometer, engine temperatures, and fuel gauge, and that's it. These are fixed. That's adjustable, and that is about it. When it comes to the dash cluster, the steering wheel, you get obviously the Mazda mustache in the middle. You get telephony controls, audio controls, track controls, and then you get cruise control on the right, as is standard. So that is And you get a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel in this trim level. Curiously, I do have to point out, so here's the button. We'll get to the center console, the center area in a minute. So that's a heated steering wheel control. When you turn that on, only this portion here is heated. It's not the whole steering wheel, which is strange. I noticed it in the Mazda 3 and I didn't comment on it in that video, and I meant to. So it's the same thing here in the CX-5. Now granted, most of the time your hands are going to be here, but why not just heat the whole steering wheel? Very strange. So the Mazda infotainment system, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this system is largely unchanged since the inception of this generation of the vehicle in 2017. I criticized the Mazda 3 for the size and specifically the placement of that infotainment screen. This is a little better. It's further forward. It's not touch screen. It's still, to be honest, it's still old tech, but at least it's further forward. You can see it better. It's not kind of tucked in behind like into a cubby in the dash. I really don't like where they put that in the 3. In this one, it's better. It's closer. I think it's a little bigger. And you know, it is a more usable piece of technology. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, still wired. Don't know why. I'm getting tired of complaining about that. So that system is there's a small improvement with regards to the location orientation of the screen. Controls are still handled through the little knobby dial thing down here, and then the ancillary buttons. So you can hit the button and it'll take you direct to the navigation screen, audio controls, etc. And yeah, sort of the usual stuff. So underneath our infotainment screen, we've got vents and their associated controls, and that's it. It's sort of it's a very clean dash area here. You get your heated steering wheel control here. This is also your rear occupancy alert. It's not on right now. It's sort of on when you start the car and then it turns off for whatever reason. So, and that's about it. There's not much there. Your HVAC controls are all buttons and dials, which is perfect, exactly as it should be. One thing you do get in this, because anybody who watched my Mazda 3 video knows that I was critical of the state of the technology in that car. This vehicle suffers from some of the same things, but as I said, the infotainment is a little better. What they also included in this vehicle, which I'm very happy to see, is wireless charging. So for me, that's a big one. I really like wireless charging. This is a bit of a curious system because it's it's in this storage pocket and it's on a funny angle. It's got a little lip to hold your phone. So you put it on there and it charges. It's also got a little green indicator button, which is nice, very convenient while driving, just so you know that it's on. But if you hit a bump, it will slide off. This is a funny design, but I am very happy to have wireless charging in this car. That made me very happy to see. You also get a 12 volt down there, and that's it for power, etc. in that part of the car. You get a shifter, which is cool, no buttons. Excuse me. You get drive mode selector here. You can choose between sport, normal, and off-road. Off-road, it makes everything brown for mud, I suppose. I haven't had a chance to test the off-road, and I won't, unfortunately. But sport mode does give you a bit more fun when you're driving the car. But we'll talk about that when we're on the road. You also get this control area here, very similar to what you see in other Mazdas. So you get your parking brake, you get your infotainment controls, and you get your audio button here. This knob, I love this knob because it's obviously volume control. You can mute it, and it's very convenient. It's right where I rest my hand while I drive, so that works for me. One improvement of this vehicle over the 3 is this matte plastic they've chosen to put here. This is really nice because this piano black gets scratched really easy, and this is a high traffic area for all manner of hands and other bits and pieces, so it gets damaged really quickly, and it's nice to see a matte plastic that hopefully will take the abuse a little better without looking like crap. So then you get your 2 requisite cup holders, and you get your center console. Oh, ignore the napkin, sorry about that. And it is a small center console, no arguing that, but you do get USB ports. You get a 12 volt and a little bit of storage should you need it. Now, it wouldn't be a proper review if I didn't comment on the upholstery. We get Napa leather in the CX-5. It's, again, a very high quality. Mazda always puts decent leather in their vehicles. It's soft and supple. This is like a cocoa brown, I think it's called, something like an espresso brown. It's brown. In less than optimal lighting, it just looks black, but you get it on the seats, you get it across bits and pieces of the dash. Yeah, that's brown. Etc. It's quite nicely done, actually. I like the way this car is accented. I'm not usually a huge fan of brown, but this is a very subtle brown, and it's a good color. I'm always happy with black as well. But as a result, you get heated and ventilated seats in the front. One thing I have to comment on is how nice the interior of this vehicle feels. The CX-50, as an example, is lauded for its sort of upscale interior. CX-90 as well. That kind of started with this generation of vehicles. This has a very nice feel to it. It feels high quality, soft touch materials, bits of leather, etc. Feels chunky. The heads-up display here kind of has like it's this big hump, but it looks like a muscle, if that makes any sense. I don't know, it's very hard to describe, but the interior of this vehicle feels very high-end. This is a piece of plastic trim, but it looks good. I won't say it looks like wood, but it looks nice, and that's important. It doesn't look cheap or, you know, otherwise shiny, which is cool. I like that. All this stuff, all the chromey bits are more muted. They have a shine, but they're not ostentatious, which is really cool. I like the way this vehicle feels while you're sitting in it, and I like taking it in. It looks great, and that's the hard thing to achieve, truly, and Mazda deserves credit for that. All right, time to take a look at the back seats. I'll climb inside. Behind my own seating position, and no problem. Keep in mind, for reference, ignore the water, 5'8" is my height. This is a decent seating position for me. I have 2 or 3 inches of legroom down here, 3 to 4 inches of headroom up top, so you could get a reasonably sized human being in here, and like 2 of them, and you'd be absolutely fine. That's nice. The interior space in the back is quite suitable. Now, if you're going to have a taller person driving, you are going to lose some, but I do believe you can get 2 fully sized adults in the back seat. Now, in the back seat, you get ventilation here in the back. It is not independently controlled, so you are managing it from up front, and you get a center console. Now, one feature you also get with the rear seats is that they are heated. The cool thing is you don't see the controls here, you don't see them on the door. They're actually on the center console, in the rear seats, of course, which I like. I get a kick out of that. That's cool. I'm trying to remember to turn those off. I think that's really neat. It's a cool piece of functionality, and yeah, I'm sure I've seen it, I think maybe on a Range Rover. But anyway, that's cool. I like that, as opposed to having it on the door. You also get increase your power. If you need USB ports, they're in here instead of in there, or borrowing them from that console. So that's also cool. This is the center console of these rear seats are very useful and quite functional and practical. So I like that. So on top of being a well-built, well-designed, and handsome beast, the CX-5 is also very comfortable to drive. I find it's a very neutral seating position. You're up high enough that you can see everything. The greenhouse is wide open. There aren't any egregious blind spots, etc. I find the seating position is very comfortable. The seats themselves are comfortable. Obviously, they're powered on both sides in this vehicle, so you're able to adjust them to whatever your preferred settings are. It makes you feel like you could do some serious road tripping in this vehicle and do it in comfort. So you get 2 engine options with the Mazda CX-5. You can have the 2.5 liter, they're both 2.5 liters. One is naturally aspirated, the other is with the turbo. With the naturally aspirated option, gives you about 189 horsepower and a similar amount of torque. I'll have to confirm the torque figure. And that's okay. You know, it's a vehicle this size. It'll get you where you want to go. It's not exactly a dynamic driving experience. You know, it kind of reminds me of my mother-in-law's Hyundai Tucson with is it the 2 liter or the 2.5? I can't remember. But it doesn't have the 1.6 liter turbo. And, you know, that's an okay driving experience. But it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't give you the fizz, as they say. So this one, the Signature trim, the only option available to you is the 2.5 liter turbo, which gives you right around 262 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque if you use premium fuel, which I have no idea what's in this thing, and I won't be filling it with premium. But nevertheless, if you do engage in premium, you get those sorts of power figures, and it's a little reduced for regular octane. And power. Okay, so power in a vehicle like this, it's not a large vehicle, but it's also not small, you know, but if you put your foot down, she will go. And it will roar, and when you put it in sport, you get a little more go and a little more roar. So overall, it's it's actually a really decent driving experience with this 2.5 liter turbocharged engine. The all-wheel drive keeps you pointed nice and straight. The suspension is hard enough so that you communicate with the road and you know what's going on, but you don't feel every divot and pothole that you hit. So that's kind of nice. The handling is pretty nimble, actually, for a vehicle like this. Mind you, it's not a sports car, but I had to pass a couple of 18-wheelers on this road that we were driving here, and it was great. You know, I kicked it to the left and zipped right past them, and it was good. So, and that's all you need, you know, on the daily drive with a vehicle like this. So with this generation of CX-5 having been released in 2017, and some minor interior updates, and they introduced the turbocharged engine a couple of years back, but that's largely it. You know, it's interesting to look at a vehicle like this 6-7 years on, and you know, we're approaching the point where they're going to redesign this thing. It'll be interesting to see the leapfrogs forward in technology, because some of it's quite dated, etc. But the car has held up well. I am very surprised and impressed. You know, the 3 left me a little numb. This is doing better. Yeah, it ticks more of the boxes, and you do get that incredible Mazda driving experience. Another thing that strikes me with the introduction of CX-50 last year, if I remember correctly, you know, it kind of makes you wonder, well, do they need the CX-5 and the CX-50? I don't know. I haven't heard any news of cancellation of the CX-5. Lord knows they sell a boatload of them, so why would they? You know, the differentiation between the two vehicles it's relatively small. The nice thing is the CX-50 does look a little different than the CX-5. You know, Mazda, much like Lincoln right now, has this incredible consistency in the looks of their SUVs. So from a distance, they all kind of look the same. But yeah, I hope they decide to redesign this thing. And that is a lot of vans. Holy smokes, what's going on there? Anyway, I hope they do a complete redesign. You know, the exterior, make some changes, give it an update, and then completely revamp the interior without overdoing it, and you will have what will probably be a continued market leader. The 2023 CX-5, pardon me, starts right around $32,000 Canadian and tops out around $45,000 for this particular signature trim. That's kind of in the ballpark of its various competitors, whether it be the Hyundai Tucson, the Kia Sportage, however you say that, the CR-V, the RAV4, etc. They're all kind of in the same ballpark in terms of their price points. It comes down to, you know, which one do you choose? Well, that's a tough call. You know, Mazda makes very basic and confident decisions in terms of how they design their cars. They don't redesign them constantly. They're not big fans of huge mid-cycle refreshes, etc. You get a very standard 7-year design cycle, 7 or 8 on their cars, and that's perfectly fine. They focus really on what cars feel like to drive. Mazdas, I believe, are drivers' cars, and this is a family hauling SUV, etc. But if you pop it into sport mode, nope, there we go, and put your foot down and want to have some fun, you can do that. Now, this is not a sports car, of course, but you can have some fun with it. And that's not always to be said of every vehicle of this type. Normally, to be honest, they're a little vanilla. And that's okay. That's the way most of them are intended for the purpose that they're built. This thing, it has something. What do the French say? Je ne sais quoi? Or whatever, you know, with the way it drives and stuff like that. I like the way it handles. It feels tight, and it feels like it was built to not just a purpose, but a bit of an aspiration. All right, my friends, well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for joining me for my little drive with the CX-5, and thank you for watching all the videos. You guys have been extremely supportive of the channel. I greatly appreciate that. To everyone who has subscribed, thank you for that as well. And if you haven't subscribed, well, get to it, please. I would really appreciate that. And until we meet again on the next video, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see ya when we see ya.